So the topic is Nietzsche's philosophical psychology. So one could say it's Nietzsche's philosophy of mind. So basically is his view about how the mind in general works. The book has 3 parts. The first one is about Nietzsche's idea that what is sometimes called the human soul, or what we may call human psychology, is constituted by drives and affects mainly. So that drives and affects are the mainly the basic primary elements of human psychology. The most relevant also in explanatory terms. So it has three chapters about drives, effects, and the way they interact with each other. The second part of the book is about consciousness. So Nietzsche makes a famous claim according to which consciousness is just a surface. He also say that it's basically superfluous. So these are 2 claims I try to make sense of in this part of the book. So I argue that when Nietzsche talks about consciousness, he's talking about a certain kind of consciousness, which I call reflective consciousness, which is tied to language, and is also tied to the development of, let's say, mind reading capacities. Then I argue that Nietzsche allows that we are conscious also in different ways. In a way that we share with our, let's say, non-linguistic animals, something like what people, for instance, nowadays would call phenomenal consciousness. So I distinguish 2 other kinds of consciousness, in fact. But so the basic idea is that self-consciousness is one kind of consciousness we have, but we're also conscious in different way, in particular in a way which is qualitative and something that comes close to what philosophers nowadays call phenomenal consciousness, for instance. And in the last chapter of this part, I make sense of the claim that consciousness is superfluousness by offering a epiphenomenalist reading of Nietzsche. I call it weak local epiphenomenalism because it's a qualified version of phenomenalism, restricted in 2 ways. So it's explicitly only about reflective consciousness first, and second, it's really so it's about the role that that reflective conscious state have with in relation to the etiology of actions. The last part of that's basically conclude the main picture of how I think Nietzsche conceives of the human mind, of human psychology, more or less in general. And then the last part is an application of this general view to specific topics, in particular to the self. So how we can conceive of the self given this picture, how self-knowledge is supposed to work, then how the will is supposed to work. And finally, and there I leave a bit the proper domain, let's say, of psychology, of descriptive psychology, so Nietzsche's notion of the ideal human type. So I think that we can make sense of it also, given the background of his general views about human psychology. So I try to say something about that too. And well, I finish with a conclusion that's a bit tentative. In particular, there's I try to situate a Nietzsche story within the post-Kantian tradition, and I make a very sketchy comparison with things that Kant say, and also with Hegel. So that's really very tentative, and I hope to develop this. So those points maybe later. But it was just to try to show that Nietzsche has something original to say in this, and offers an interesting contribution to this big post-Kantian tradition. So that's basically the content of the book. I think that's enough to introduce it.